Welcome back to Lex's World Podcast. The following is a story told by a member of Mediocre Melodies, Mr. Hippo. Not really by Mr. Hippo. It was a memory of a famous young man by the name of Alexander, or Lex for short. It happened during the year of COVID, which was 2022. So sit back and relax and enjoy the podcast. My friend, you have met a terrible, terrible demise. I don't feel too bad about it. If it weren't for me, then it would have been from someone else. I guess, what I'm trying to say is life goes on. Life goes on for people. Not for you, because you're dead. One day I heard a story about a boy named Lex who always remembered something from the year of 2020, which was the year of COVID-19. It was what he referred to as his severe punishment. What I'm going to tell you, no one else must know. Long ago, he did something that was very bad, and his mother punished him. The punishment was that he would have all of his electronics taken away for 2 weeks. His iPad, his phone, his Nintendo Switch, all of his electronics. It was really bad for him. But he wanted to get out of his punishment so that he didn't have to wait 2 weeks. So all he did was grab a piece of paper and a pen and wrote a letter, which he referred to as a note. Wait, was it a note or was it a letter? Well, it doesn't matter. Anyways, Lex wrote a note to his mother saying how sorry he was, and most of all, making up what was known as a compromise, asking his mother if he can have his electronics back sooner than after 2 weeks. Of course, a compromise is when two people get a little bit of what they want. But that boy named Lex took that term to a different level. He wanted to have most of what he wanted. In reality, he was just trying to tell his mother that he wanted to have his electronics back early so that he'll promise not to behave badly again. The problem was that his mother would not accept the compromise for a big reason. He would have to stick with his punishment. The punishment was mainly to teach him not to do what he did, what was bad. If he compromised with his mother to take the punishment away, then he wouldn't learn his lesson to misbehave. But he still wanted his electronics back, so he didn't have to wait 2 weeks without them. Lex does recall something else. He tried a total of 3 times back right away to get his electronics back right away. On his second attempt, he even wrote a book. It was about a little chipmunk who proved that writing notes to his parents does get you out of punishments right away. Now, let me interrupt this story for a little something that inspired Lex on writing notes to his parents. You ever read this amazing book? It's called Stink and the Incredible Super Galactic Jawbreaker. It was from a series about an incredible shrinking kid by the name of. It's such a good book series. Have you ever read any of the books in that series? Well, you can't now because you're dead. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh yes. So that book called Stick in the Incredible Supergalactic Jawbreaker. It's about the boy named Stink who goes to a candy shop and buys a large jawbreaker and then gets upset about it. He writes a letter, or a note as Lex calls it, to the candy manufacturer, just the way his teacher taught him how to. I don't recall. Well, exactly 7 days later, the candy store delivered a box filled with jawbreakers right up to his house. I don't recall that Stink also wrote. I do recall that Stink also wrote a letter to the Robotoys company and then they sent him a bunch of toys. Probably now this is one of the heavy parts. On his day of school, Stink got stuck inside of his pajamas and accidentally sucker punched his friend Webster in the face. Now I want you to listen closely. I don't know if you can write. I don't know if you can right now because you're dead. Anyways, this is the other heavy part. When Stink finished writing his apology letter, he was searching for an empty envelope to put his letter in for Webster when he found out an envelope was sticking inside the box of Jawbreakers. It was an invitation to Webster's birthday party, and it was Saturday, the Saturday before, and Stink had missed his friend's birthday. Somehow he made up for it by writing in the personal script that he missed his friend's birthday party. After that, he decided on a surprise for his friend. It was a piñata filled with all the candy they had got from the candy store. And with that, he did prove a point that a leopard can change its spots, which of course is an idiom. You know what? This book does have a lot of idioms, such as it costs an arm and a leg, making a mountain out of a molehill, and getting up on the wrong side of the bed, which is used when you're in the bad mood. You know, I never wrote a letter to a store owner or a company person myself. What was I saying? Oh yes. So Lex lost his electronics for 2 weeks because he did something that was bad. And he tried to get them back by writing notes to his parents. He tried a total of 3 times, but none of his attempts ever succeeded. The way that Lex was being similar to Stink in that book was that he just kept writing notes to his parents to get free stuff, or in that case, his electronics. The only difference was that Lex was asking his parents for punishment to end sooner than 2 weeks, which was the length of his punishment. Now, if I recall correctly, this event was during his 7th grade year, where COVID-19 happened, and he and his classmates had to work from home. Lex's mother said to him that his definition of the word compromise was where he got all of what he wants. Although, like in the Rolling Stones, you can't always get what you want. Now, this wasn't until Lex's 8th grade year, where, in his history class, he learned about a famous event in U.S. history, which was known as the Great Compromise. The compromise was a plan for congressional representation that was adopted by the Constitutional Convention on July 1787. At least that's what I've heard, but I don't recall. You know, I never fully understood the Great Compromise event, but I did hear from Lex that this was a time where he learned about the real definition of the word compromise. It's when two people have to reach an agreement by giving something up, or rather, they just get a little bit of what they want. In Lex's case, or example, when his parents punished him and said that they can't have his electronics for 2 weeks, he still wanted to have his electronics the whole time. So he wanted to make up a compromise with his mother so that he could have his electronics taken away for a short period of time. Then just exactly 2 weeks. The only problem was that his mother was disagreeing with the compromise because she said that punishments don't normally get taken away. And if Lex's punishment was taken away, then he wouldn't learn his lesson. If I was there at that time, then I would say to Lex, if you want to compromise, what would you do? And what would you have to give up in order to get what you want? And Lex would tell me that he would have to give up the fact that he won't have all his electronics back for the whole time instead of losing them for 2 weeks. And besides, there was nothing else that he could do besides try to deal with his mother that if he did all his work that his teachers gave him without fussing one little bit. Of course, he thought that was the only part of the note that Lex wrote that his mother didn't see. So also told Lex that rewards can become punishments and good behavior can become bad behavior. But Lex thought she had them backwards, and he tried to tell her that punishments can become compromises. But what his mother was trying to tell him was, son, that's not how life works. You need to deal with the punishment. And if he dealt with the punishment, then he wouldn't have to write notes to his parents. What was I saying? Oh, yes. Lex had his electronics taken away because he did something that was very bad. Thank you for tuning in to Lex's World Podcasts. We sure hope you enjoy.